Hi, and welcome to Geno's Picks Week 2. What'd we do last week? If you're gambling here with us at SBR Forum, the official website of Geno's Picks, then you went 3-1. Because while everyone was on the Patriots, we told you to take the Steelers. And while everyone else was on another website, you were here at SBR Forum, where you saw 5 Dimes was laying 8 points to the Steelers. You took it, you won. So we're 3-1 to start here at Geno's Picks, and you can't wait to get to these picks. But first, you know what really grinds my gears? Nothing, people. We are living the dream, so let's get right to these jokes and picks. Here we go. My first pick, the Chiefs are giving 3 to the Broncos at Arrowhead Thursday night. People, the only thing that impressed me less than the Chiefs beating up on a Texans team with no identity Sunday, Hoyer has already been benched, Alfred Blue stinks, was the fact that the Broncos won 19-13 over a Ravens team where Peyton Manning looked terrible. The only touchdown pass he threw was to the Ravens. And that game featured so many kicks, it should have been played at Radio City Music Hall instead of Mile High. Now look, I love how people keep saying that Alex Smith and Travis Kelce are on the same page of the playbook, but it's the Chiefs playbook. It's 2 pages. Page 1, Jamal Charles. Page 2, Travis Kelce. Receivers to be named later. But hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I'm sorry, but this is what we have going on in Denver because Peyton Manning is broken. I started in the offseason saying, look, John Elway tried to trade him because his leg is shot, and it showed because there's one thing that you had to realize. It's one thing if you're missing Demaryius Thomas with passes or just out of timing with him because he held out, but the throws he were making were fluttering all around, and they had no zip on them whatsoever, people. And that's the fact that he tore that quad muscle in his right leg, and if you can't plant, you can't put zip on the ball, and that leads to the fluttering passes. And this is the thing. The guy's 39, and he's had just one multi-TD game in the past 5. So am I telling you John Elway has no patience for this? No, but he's running very low. And if I'm Elway, there's one way to motivate Peyton Manning. You bring him into the office and you show him 3 slides from the game this past Sunday. The first 2 are of his passes that just floated and flitted all over the place. And the third is a picture of Brock Osweiler. And you say to him, you know what these pictures have in common? We're both just floating it out there. C.J. Anderson's banged up, Demaryius Thomas is banged up, and the Chiefs are going to flat out win this game by a touchdown. Take the Chiefs, lay the 3. My next pick, the Cards are giving 2 to the Bears in Chicago. Anyone that thinks you're going to see a Bears team play as well as they did this past Sunday against the Packers, where they were competitive, is going to be shockingly disappointed. They played well because they're playing the Packers. That's a divisional game. And more importantly, it's week 1, which is unpredictable. But you know what's very predictable? The way the Bears play at home. In case you forgot, they didn't win a single game last year at home until mid-November, and they finished the year at 2-6 at Soldier Field. The only 2 teams they beat, the Vikings, with rookie quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, and the Bucs with Josh McCown, who won 1 game at starter all year. Wow, you would have to include the mouthy fan that got assaulted after a game last year for them to even have 3 good beatings at Soldier Field. And with Andre Ellington out, people, Chris Johnson gets the start. But the Johnson you really have to pay attention to is David Johnson because he's going to have the big game, which is why I think the Cards are going to use the Cosby offensive. They're going to wear you down and then repeatedly slam their Johnsons into you. He's a rapist. Take the Cards, lay the deuce. My next pick, the Packers are giving 6.5 to the Seahawks in Green Bay. The Packers have had this game circled since it came out on the schedule. But unlike the circle they put around last year's NFC Championship game, this is a full circle. It'll be a full 4 quarters. I said it going into game 1 for Seattle. This isn't the same team since they lost in that ridiculous way in Super Bowl 49. And all the cracks are being exposed. Whether it's Cam Chancellor's replacement, Deion Bailey, losing his footing in the final minute of regulation on Lance Kendricks last week, or Marshawn Lynch's mama Delia losing her marbles on Facebook and calling out offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell, this team has lost a lot of faith in Pete Carroll. And he just keeps spinning his stories while the Seahawks spin out of control. First, he said it wasn't the worst play ever, and we know it was. And now they get burned last week on the failed onside kick. And what does he say? It was supposed to go further than it did. Really? Pro Bowl kicker Steve Hushka, who's so good and his leg is so reliable they call him Hush Money, he miskicked it? Stop it. Look at the replay. There's no way he was trying to kick that ball deep. The last time I saw anyone kicking that half-heartedly, it was the mulatto cop in the Rodney King beating. Love me. If you think that's too many to lay, people, let me put it to you this way. JPP can count to 3.5 on one hand. Take the Packers. Lay the 3.5. Which brings me to my double your money Monday night bet. The Colts are giving 6.5 to the Jets in Indy. Yes, the Colts and Andrew Luck are coming off a humiliating loss in Buffalo last Sunday, but nothing cures what ails you like 8 days rest before a home game against the Jets offense. But Gene, the Jets killed the Browns, led by Johnny Manziel. He stinks. How many more times do I have to tell you he's bad? What more do you need to see before you realize that the words that with the number 22 pick, the Cleveland Browns select Johnny Manziel are the dumbest words ever spoken in the NFL? Outside of Janae Rice saying, "Hey Ray, hold that elevator." Do you realize that Joshua Cowan moved the ball downfield all over them before he got a concussion? And I love how the Colts tried to get him in the game, but they couldn't. I love the Colts scoring repeatedly on Monday night because as good as the Jets defense is, there's a huge difference between facing Johnny Manziel and Pro Bowler Andrew Luck, with the one exception. After either Manziel or Luck throws a ball, all the fans are screaming practically the same word. Take the Colts. Lay the 6.5. Those are Geno's picks.